May the Force be with you. It's Geeks with Wives and Capes, episode 40. I'm your host, Casey, and I'm here with my a stellar cast of co-hosts this week as we celebrate May the 4th. So let me go down and introduce everybody. First, we got Natalie Atkins,
Hey
dressed very
guys,
appropriately tonight.
welcome
How
to
are you
the
doing, Natalie?
podcast. I'm wearing my metal bikini in honor of May the 4th.
Yeah, if anybody at any time should have been watching, they should have been watching tonight.
True.
This is the podcast to check out on YouTube. So next to Natalie, we have the proprietor of Geeks with Wives, Odin himself, Joe Barhoom, joining us. How's it going, Joe?
Yeah, the guy that pays the bills. I think that's what you meant to say.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for having me on. This is great.
the man in charge. Yeah, we have you on for a very special topic, but unfortunately, because it's Star Wars week and we have two very special guests tonight, I just don't know if we need to talk about it, which saddens me. But you're here anyway, and you're gonna stick with us as long as you can.
Natalie's in the bikini. I'm glad I'm here.
Don't tell your wife. Or the baby. Uh, Next to Joe, we have our regular co-host who just got back from seeing I can't say anything, never mind. Got back from seeing a certain movie with a giant lizard in it. Chad Osuna, how's it going, Chad?
What's up? Yeah, you know what? I can give minor impressions, but yes, I just got to see Godzilla. We could talk about it a little bit later, but yes, it was. We'll talk about it later.
It was big.
I'm gonna leave it at that for right now.
What happened?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
we good?
hold on.
Okay, sorry. So we'll talk about Godzilla in a little bit.
Yeah. We'll talk about that during the movies and TV section.
All right, I'm super excited to hear about that since you gave me a little taste later, and it sounds amazing. So finally, next to Chad, we have our very, very special guest. In light of the coming holiday, if you will, the geek holiday, May the 4th, we have Darth Vader himself, Andrew Nelson. How's it
How you
going?
doing? How are you?
So,
May the
so
fourth
how's it
be
going?
with you.
May the 4th be with you,
May
sir.
the 4th be with you.
Yes. Good to be with all of you tonight.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor for you to join us tonight. We're very excited to have you on and barrage you with a plethora of Star Wars questions.
Go
Unfortunately, I am not the Star Wars guy.
Oh,
Chad
right.
and Will are, and I don't know where Will is. He seems to be missing. Will, are you there?
Hello, everyone. Hello. Wait a minute. This is not the Ellen show.
Oh,
They told me that I was going to be on the Ellen show via satellite, and I'm stuck here with you boneheads again.
I talked to you. Listen, I
You're
talked to your
fired.
publicist. Hey, she's a nice young lady, just out of college. There's no reason to get crazy with her. She was doing us a solid, and I don't think there's any reason to fire her.
You can dispense with the pleasantries, Walsh. I'm here to put you back on schedule.
Besides, do you really want to go on Ellen? I mean, come on, that you would have to dance, and we all know you're not a dancer.
She pays more money than you do.
Oh, well, we don't pay any money, so everybody pays more money than we do. Vader.
All right. I'm already pissed because I'm on this poor excuse for a show, and then you have my daughter on here too.
Hi, Dad.
You haven't called me in a long time.
I lost my phone.
What are you wearing? I didn't say you could go out of the house like that.
Talk to Jabba about this one.
That's it. You know what? You don't call me. You don't send me Father's Day wishes. No birthday greeting cards. What's the deal?
Must have gotten lost in the mail.
Are you still upset about that Alderaan thing?
Just a little.
You know what? I told you that wasn't my fault. That was Tarkin. Okay? Your friends blew up my Death Star. I think we're even.
Portion of it.
I've had it. I'm firing that publicist. So hard to find good help. Wait a minute. Is that Andrew Nelson over there?
It is.
I sense something. A
I'm
presence
still
I've not felt
for my
since.
royalties check, Andrew Nelson. And I don't remember signing off on you playing me last time.
Your powers are weak, old man.
Oh. That's
So, Lord Vader, since you've obviously seen the, I guess they'd be. Oh my goodness, he's already got the answer.
Oh God.
I'm weak. Weak, eh? We'll see how weak I am.
Are you almost done
All right,
there, buddy?
That's good. Trying to keep up the
Did
illusion,
he
okay?
assault you last time he was on the show?
Yeah, he assaulted everybody last time. He was on the show. He assaulted
Who
me.
else did you bring on this time? You
Well, you know
actually
Joe.
managed to get somebody else on the show, and they volunteered without you torturing them?
Well, our good friend Will got him on the show. You know Will.
Yeah, we won't talk about that guy. He's something else.
You're
What
telling
is up
us.
your ass
Complete
today?
disgrace. All right, so what are we talking about this time, since you're not Ellen?
Well, of course, we're talking about May the 4th, since it's like Star Wars week.
Yeah.
So that's why you're on the show tonight, so you can promote Star Wars. They just released a bunch of new picks from the upcoming movie that they're filming now that you happen to be missing from. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, there's one problem with that cast. I'm not in it.
Well, I mean,
Big problem.
there's a reason you're not in it, Lord Vader. And
All right,
and,
let's spare me the I'm dead talk, okay? I didn't really die. They could bring me back in a flashback or something, okay? Doesn't have to actually be me, but geez, man, 10 seconds of FaceTime something? You know, put my name, like Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Darth Vader as Darth Vader. Not that hard.
Yeah, but
then
they'll
what
only
would-
put in Hayden Christensen instead of you. So
Oh.
Andrew comes in swinging.
Oh man.
Hey, he knows how to hold a lightsaber.
I don't want to
I've been on the dark side for a long time.
It's true, he has.
Lord Vader, if you play Darth Vader in the next movie, then what's Andrew gonna do?
He's going to be my my body double.
Oh, thank you.
I've kind of, kind of let myself go a bit nowadays. Not so much battle, not too much exercise, just hanging around at the Death Star, reading people, doing Sudoku, that whole bit.
Too much blue
Watching
milk.
the
Huh?
Cooking Channel and Food Network, right?
Hey, you said you weren't going to tell anybody that time we watched Cooking Channel and cooked.
Oh well.
Cooking channel and cooked.
So they have the cooking channel on the HoloNet? Is that what we're saying?
Hey, I'm Vader, we get every channel.
All right. I mean, is there's smell-o-vision on the HoloNet and everything?
Usually you just push a button and you can make what's on screen, in like 2 seconds.
I think that's Star Trek.
I don't know what that is. Sorry. I don't recognize that as a show of any sort. Never heard
Speaking
of
of
it.
Star Trek,
Don't know what it is.
J.J. Abrams, the guy who kind of brought back Star Trek into the mainstream and created two, I think, pretty good movies, is helming your next, I guess you'd call them historical documents or historical movies. How do you feel about
I had
that?
a talk with JJ the other day.
Oh,
No,
yeah?
No lens flares?
This is how the talk went. Hey, JJ. Don't screw up Star Wars. That was it.
I hope
it's
it
gonna be
works.
really good now.
So within that little pep talk, we should expect some Oscars from this year's movie, right?
Yes.
One maybe from a Dark Lord himself, a nomination.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We should write to the Academy. I want an honorary Oscar for this.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it there, big guy.
Hey, Leia, where's your brother? What's his excuse?
I've lost.
Yeah. Mister, I'm running the Jedi Order now. Ooh, too busy to talk to Dad.
No, I think he's in London.
Oh, well, that's even better. I'm in London, Dad. Sorry, no time to talk. We can't
Hey,
Skype.
This isn't time for you to rekindle relationships with your family or work
Hey.
out issues that you guys have.
Got
We're
it.
supposed to be talking about Star Wars, the movies, the comic books. So, and you're
There's
in
much
the same.
anger in him, There's much anger in him.
Yeah, I noticed.
You want to repeat that again?
I said there's much anger in you.
Oh, yeah. What about Walsh? You want to say that again, Walsh? Or shall we have a conversation?
Are you just gonna threaten everyone that tries to talk to you? This is how
Yes,
this is gonna go.
I am. Next
He does the same
question.
thing at the drive-thru when he gets his order mixed up. So
God, that last time at McDonald's was just horrible. Bacon double cheese. Bacon double cheese.
How
Not
do you-
McChicken.
You've talked about food twice now, and I'm still just wondering how you even eat with the mask on. Do you have to
Well-
put it in a blender and a straw?
It's called a blender.
Okay,
And a straw.
I figured.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
You know, when I'm in my meditation chamber, that's when we eat.
Is there anything about you that's not disgusting?
Maybe.
No.
Your mom.
Oh, good one. Thank you.
Yes.
That was nice.
Things
Good one.
devolved.
Jesus Christ. Oh, so while we have you here with Andrew, a man who's portrayed you in films many times, do you have anything you want to say to him? I think he's done a fantastic job, and I think you owe him some gratitude in the way he's portrayed you. Why don't you let him know how you feel about that?
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
Be more angry next time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll work on that.
Other than that, you're... I'll accept it.
Am I passable at least? Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Did you
Use
just
that
give
word
him
lightly.
a meh? Did
Yes.
you just give him a meh?
I think you got a meh.
My
I got a
brother
meh.
says there's no such thing as bad press, so at least he's getting me on screen, so...
There you go then. Yes.
Never grateful. Never grateful.
No.
Well, Lord Vader, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah.
It really is.
I wish I could say the same about you, Walsh.
Thank you.
Thanks
So,
to publicist, and I'm calling Ellen right now.
yeah, I'm sure Ellen would just be happy to have you. You're right in her demo anyway.
Yeah,
So why
whatever.
don't you go have fun and dance somewhere else, and we're gonna get back and we're gonna talk to Andrew about his fantastic portrayal of you, and try to forget about this whole incident.
Hey, Leia, Father's Day is coming up. I better at least get a call.
I make no promises.
And I want to see the grandkids, too.
Wait, what?
You can wait for the new movie to come out to see the grandkids, Dad.
Whoa! Spoiler alert! Let's not get crazy here, fellas.
Thanks. Yeah, whatever. See what... Just basically, conquer the whole galaxy and can't even get a visit with the kids. I'm out of here.
Jason and Jaina?
All right. Thanks, Lord Vader. See you later. Man, that guy is an asshole. I just don't know how anyone.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
Oh. All right, so I have a question. How did that happen, Andrew?
How did that happen?
Opportunity to basically do Vader.
Well, I was working at LucasArts at the time.
What were you doing?
I spent, I guess it was about maybe 6 years at LucasArts, helping design and create games there. I was a visual effects supervisor and senior artist, working on probably just about every game that was going through the pipeline at the time.
Wait. So you worked on Jedi Knight? Or
Yes,
Jedi
I worked
Academy?
on Jedi Knight. Yeah, I worked on games like I think the first game I worked on was Sam and Max Hit the Road. Going back that far, worked on that. I worked on Rebel Assault 2, Dark Forces, Full Throttle, The Dig, Shadows of the Empire, Curse of Monkey Island, Masters of Terrascazi, Grim Fandango, just a whole slew of games. I can't even remember all the games I worked on. But I was there first, and then I moved over to Industrial Light and Magic and worked there for about 4 years on the Star Wars prequels, working on the effects for those. But one day I was sitting at my desk at LucasArts back in 1994, and I got a call from the head of public relations. Her name was Sue, and she didn't even bother to say hello to me. She just says, "Hey, Andrew, how tall are you?" And I'm thinking, what's going on here? My honest thought was that she wanted something down off a shelf because she was about 5'1", and so I'm ready to come. I was ready to come upstairs and get something down for her, and I said, "I'm 6'5". Why do you ask?" And then she said, "Do you have any acting experience?" And the wheels are spinning in my head trying to figure out what's going on here. You look good, Will. You look great.
You guys started the show without me?
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
buddy.
we had a fill-in. We had a fill-in for you.
Yeah, he was a total
Sorry,
douche.
he was actually much better than you.
Oh.
Little angry, but
Andrew's
definitely
coming in
more
hot.
handsome. Definitely more handsome, Will.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So she asked me, did you have any acting experience? And I said, yeah. And at that point, I'd been acting for about 20 years or so, and started off in theater and then some film and TV. And I told her this, and I'm trying to figure out where's this conversation going.
What's going
And
through
then
your
she,
mind? Because
then
you've
she
been
said to
working-
me, "What's that?"
I said, what was going through your mind? Because you'd been working on the digital end and hadn't acted in how long?
Well, it hadn't been that long. I'd still been acting here and there in different things, different productions, but nothing related to Star Wars, obviously. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's a Lucas company. They want to know how tall I am. They want to know if I have any acting experience. Could it be? No, it can't be. And then she asked me, "Can you breathe for me?" And so I went. Like, I go, is that what you mean? And she explained to me that they were looking for somebody to play Vader for a special charity event. This is before the 501st were in force out there, doing their trooping and everything. And so somebody had actually no, it was a setup because somebody knew I had a background in acting and they knew I was about the right size, and they had suggested me for it. So I was tapped to play Vader at that point. I thought it was just a one-time charity event. We were doing it for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, a little meet and greet, so the kids could meet Darth Vader.
Cool.
And I did that one charity event, and I thought, wow, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's never going to happen again. I just thank God I had a chance to do it. But then they called me back for something else, and eventually I spent 12 years playing Vader and played Vader about 70 times. So
Wow.
I'm told I've spent more time in official Vader costume than anybody else, so I'm not going to argue with Lucasfilm over that. So there you go.
If anyone asks, you're the official Darth Vader.
I was for 12 years, yes.
Well, I'm telling everyone that from now on.
Okay.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I don't work for Lucas anymore full time. Only if they call me in to play Vader. But I spend about half my time acting, the other half my time doing effects and animation consulting. So I keep busy in the business. I sit on the board of directors of the Visual Effects Society, both in Hollywood and in the local board in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is the largest branch of the VES. Because Los Angeles is not considered a branch. It's just Los Angeles. So.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
So back to the video game stuff, because once again, the Star Wars video games, especially those early ones on PC, were my bread and butter when I was a kid, and that's
Excellent.
what I grew. That's how I learned how to play video games, was on those games, the Jedi Academy and Shadows of the Empire and that kind of stuff. How did you feel when you heard LucasArts was closing its doors?
It didn't surprise me, but it still hurt. It's such a legacy there. But I can understand, from Disney's standpoint, it's a smart business decision there. But still, it's like, wow, all that history, all those wonderful games, and all that stuff, ended. It tugs at your heart there, because it was an amazing place to work for a long time. It was an amazing place. When I first started there, going way back to '93 was when I got hired at LucasArts. It was still called Lucasfilm Games at that point, and it was very small compared to what it ended up being later on. By the time we got to the Jedi Knight game that you mentioned, the company was just huge, and about 2/3 of it was working on Jedi Knight. It was just a big project. But it's kind of sad that it's gone, but it didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it was really a bummer, especially after I saw footage of 1313 and games like that, and that we were all really excited for, and now they're just gone to the ether.
Right. Well, but that happens. That happens with game companies all the time. There were tons of games that we worked on that never saw the light of day. Some of them, made it as far as a proposal. Some of them actually got some concept art done. There are some games that were almost completely finished and then scrapped. For whatever reason, and then there are some games that went through several revisions before they actually hit store shelves. I think there was one whole complete version of the Dig before it was released, and we just went back and redid the whole thing. Same thing with Force Commander. What actually finally got released as Force Commander was version 2.5. We actually made a full version, 2 full versions before the actual final released version. But it happens. You can't get upset about it. But yeah, you still wonder. What would this game have been like? What would that game have been like?
Yeah.
So.
when you're working on a game, how long would you say it takes from like the initial concept, you guys get it, and you can start working on it till it hits the shelves?
It could be anywhere from when I was working there. It could have been anywhere from like a year to, 2.5 years or so, or maybe 3 years. It depends on what the game was, what type of game was. Especially if you were having to create a game engine that we didn't have already at that point. Like with Dark Forces, we didn't have that type of game engine. We didn't have a Doom style engine, so we had to, create one. Same thing with, even before that with Rebel Assault and Rebel Assault 2. We didn't have that engine before, so we had to create that. And then there was some games that took longer because there was, more art involved, or more, like with Jedi Knight. It was like making a movie. There's a full half hour of full motion video in the game, and there were 350 effect shots in that. It's like doing a feature film. So and so it's a lot of compositing, a lot of blue screen stuff that was done. It also contains the very first digital lightsaber footage. Up until that point, lightsabers had been done with as a film process, and there was the first time we had done digital lightsabers in live action footage, and we had to develop that. I myself and another artist, Mike Levine, had to develop that. I was like, well, how do we do this, the same effect, and make it look like it did in the old films? And then that's eventually what we basically used at ILM on the prequels. That same technique that we were using for Jedi Knight. It's just different software, but the same technique.
God, that's so cool, man.
Oh, I'm all over the Star Wars universe. I'm like the answer to a million trivia questions.
Well, it's only an hour show.
I'm just very fortunate and very blessed to be able to do what I do. I'm not bragging here. It's just I'm just thankful for every little bit of it. I'm always thankful for what I get to do.
Well, and for our fans out there, you've worked on 2 other films that are other favorites of mine, being Nightmare Before Christmas and Enchanted.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. Enchanted was a nice, wonderful film. Wonderful film. I worked on the sequence at the end with the dragon on top of the building there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And as far as Nightmare Before Christmas, I actually worked on the stereoscopic conversion of it back in 2006. Mm-hmm. It had not been a stereoscopic 3D movie, and they didn't have the proprietary software that they do now to do these conversions. So what we had to do was we had to go through and trace the outline of every single character, every single frame, to isolate them so that we could do a left eye, right eye separation. Wow. And basically then that image of them was mapped onto some 3D geometry that was animated to match the same movements as those characters. It was a really involved process. Now it's a lot easier for them to do a conversion. Still not great. I mean, it's much better if you can actually shoot it, in stereoscopic than to try to convert it. But yeah, it was a beast of a project working on that, because it's like every single character, every single foreground object, every midground object, every background object, every little set piece had to be isolated so that we could do that left eye, right eye separation. It was nuts.
When you work on something that intensely and have to watch it, I'm sure 100 times, and then it comes on basic cable on Sunday, are you just like, goddamn, turn that movie off right now?
It all depends on the project. There are some films like I don't care where I come along. Like if I'm flipping through the channels and I see this, it doesn't matter what part of the movie. If it's Galaxy Quest, I will sit down and I will watch it.
I'm the exact same way, my friend.
Movie. Absolutely love that movie. It's one of the few times that we actually got to see a rough cut of the film while we were working on it. Because when you work in visual effects, you can work for like 6 months to a year on a project and never know if it's any good, because you're seeing it out of sequence, you're seeing it without sound, and you just don't know. It could be a wonderful film, it could be a real stinker. So and that was one of the few times when we actually got to see a rough cut. The studio sent us a rough cut, and we're watching it. We're going, "This film's great! Oh my gosh, this film's fantastic!" And so it was fun, And there are some other films too. Like I had fun working on Jurassic Park 3, even though I had some really tedious, crazy work to do on it. But I'll watch that anytime it comes on too. Just because I just think it's fun. It's a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
There are other films, I may not sit down and watch, but I won't talk about them.
Yeah, I'm really hoping the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy movie kind of really takes a cue from Galaxy Quest. Because yeah, that is almost. I mean, that's a perfect movie in my opinion, and Tim Allen's best performance by far
I
of
agree.
anything
I
he's ever
agree.
done.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really hope that James Gunn kind of watched that movie 100 times and was like, man, I need to make this movie in the Marvel universe, and that's what we
Yeah,
get out of
I, th-
that. So
I hope so too. I think Marvel's been really smart with their movies, the ones that they have full control over, and I think Disney's being smart with Marvel. And so, I hope that that's the case. I hope that I really have good feeling about that movie. So we'll see.
Alright, guys, so I gotta
okay,
go.
so
I do want to ask one question though. Going
Okay,
back to Jedi Knight. Gotta go back to Jedi
I can
Knight.
barely hear you.
Oh, sorry, we're having some trouble with the microphone. So anyway, is this doable?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right, how
What's the
about
question?
Is this better?
Ah, okay.
Okay. All right, cool.
That's
Hey,
better.
so question is, okay, perfect. What were there plans at any point to make another Jedi Knight game after Jedi Academy?
I don't know because by that point I had moved on. So I left LucasArts in '98 to go to ILM. So I don't know for certain. I still
Okay.
had friends back there, but I don't know for certain what happened at that point.
That is
Okay, well,
not the
it's
answer Joe wanted.
now
Sorry.
probably the worst answer possible. That's worse than
I
yes.
can make up something. I can make up something.
You're all yes.
All right.
More.
We gotta track down these guys and find out if there were ever plans. So we're working with a guy right now who's in the process of making an HD remake of Jedi Knight 2, and I'm hoping this will get a lot of people excited about that series once again, and then maybe we can get the right people together to make another sequel. So I don't know how that stuff works, licensing and rights and all that happy stuff. But Casey thinks he's a fan. Casey, I'm a fan of +1. Right, I'm one over you on this one, man. It goes way back in my history. I freaking love it. So anyway, thanks for being on the show, guys. Sorry I have to go, but have a great show tonight.
Thank you. And we'll all talk about you after you leave. Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Boy, that guy Joe.
Good night,
I don't
you guys.
know.
Bye.
All right, where were we? So you worked on so much stuff. I'm sure out of all those, you have to have a couple favorites. What are some of the favorite projects you worked on, and stuff that you could just the world you could just live in all day and just go work on that project all the time?
Well, I don't know if there's ever been a project I could work on all the time because it all eventually gets it can be tedious at times. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's really really cool to do visual effects, animation, acting, that sort of stuff. It's really really cool. It's a great job, but at the same time, it's a job. It's work. It's hard work. When you're on set as an actor, there's an old adage of hurry up and wait. There is a lot of hurry up and wait. There's a lot of do it again, do it again, do it again. When I was working on Rebel Assault 2, we were shooting the live action footage for that, and I'm playing Vader. There were certain sequences where we had to do that. The director Hal Barwood was very precise about how he wanted certain shots framed and what he wanted me to do, and he wanted me to. I'll see if I can do this on camera here, but he wanted Vader to bring his glove up like this, and doing the force choke, and he wanted to have it at a very certain spot. And the problem with that was, with that mask, as Will knows, you can't see really well. You don't have a lot of visibility. You can basically see what's directly in front of you, or you can see your feet through the mask, through the bottom of the mask there. And
So you have to use the Force.
Yeah, you do actually. You have to do muscle memory. You have to rehearse it several times with the head off, and then put the mask on, and then remember, where did you bring your hand up? How far did you bring it up? And and he wanted me to do this special force choke, and it was a nice tight close up and everything, and we'd shoot it, and Hal would say, "Oh, that's great, that's fabulous, that's wonderful, Andrew. Let's do it again." All right.
But
So then it's like, okay, what's that?
But move your hand a quarter of a centimeter to the left.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then he'd just keep telling me, "Oh, that's wonderful, that's fabulous, let's do it again. Oh, it's great, Andrew, that's beautiful. One more time." And it's like, and we shot this thing like 21 times or so. And by the time we get to the last take, when I finally get it right, he goes, "Yeah, okay. That's all. That's good."
Yeah.
What happened to I'm fabulous, I'm wonderful, that's great?
Where did all that
That was
go?
satisfying.
I know, but that was a fun project to work on too. Working as an actor also on the special edition when I was shooting that, that was special for me too, because up until that point, I'd been playing Vader for about 2 years, but I wasn't Vader as part of canon. I wasn't part of the movies, and so the chance to be able to be Vader in the films rather than just the games or commercials or something like that was great. And I almost didn't get a chance to do it because we were scheduled to shoot right when my daughter, or my first child, was due to be born. And so Don Bees was the one from the Island Model Shop and everything who was organizing everything. He was my original Vader wrangler, my Vader pimp. And so Don was saying to me, "Okay, I'll hold the date open, but you got to let me know."
Yeah.
And so fortunately, my daughter was born 2 weeks early, so I was able to do it. And that was a great project too. That was fun to do. On the visual, I mean, there's so many different stories about playing Vader. I can't choose one.
You can just
as far as,
talk
like a
away,
favorite.
sir. We will all just sit here and listen happily.
There were a lot of cool things. One of the most touching things for me was when Lucasfilm used to send me a lot of times for just various live appearances. They would send me all over the place. They sent me up once to Toronto to a live appearance at a Walmart there, because Walmart was a big partner for Lucasfilm. And so I'm there with a stormtrooper, and I'm in the costume, and they had a bunch of kids coming up for have their photos taken with Vader, and they brought this young child up who was autistic and was blind, but he knew Star Wars because he listened to Star Wars.
Oh,
And
wow.
he knew Vader because he had a little action figure of Vader, and he could feel the face of Vader. And they brought him up to me, and he put his hand up on my face. They put his hand up on the mask, and this kid's face just lit up. He knew exactly who was there.
Wow.
And oh my gosh, it's like you got to stay in character. But I'm ready to break into tears inside the costume there. It was just amazing. Stuff like that. You can't ever forget that.
Now, when you did events, were you allowed to do the breathing, or did they not want you to talk at all?
Well, basically, there were two different Vaders you would play. Actually, three different Vaders. There was the live appearance Vader, which is basically you're a Disneyland character. You walk around, you pantomime. You're a little larger than life. You do things a little more exaggerated. And the breathing sound was actually placed on a little chip, a little computer chip inside the chest box. Grant Imahara from the Island Model Shop, who you all know now from MythBusters, Grant is the one who rigged it up so that it would make the breathing sound. And so there's like a Makita Makita battery in a little power pack in the back of the costume, in the belt, right in the small of your back, that powers the breathing and the lights. Which is kind of funny because when the battery starts to run down, it doesn't just like make everything go softer as far as the breathing. It just makes it go slower, and so it starts wheezing. So instead of going, then it starts going.
Oh, jeez.
So.
Sounds like Vader's getting tired. We better wrap this up real quick.
So yeah, that's the thing, and I would have to go over and motion to somebody because I can't talk in the costume. I'd motion to one of my handlers, and it's like listen, kind of thing. Point to the chest box. They go, "Oh, Lord Vader, your shuttle awaits," and so I'd be escorted off so we could change batteries. But so you do a lot. That was what you do live. On camera, there was a particular rule. If it took place, whatever you were doing on camera, whether it was in the films like the special edition, or if it was in the video games, or if it was in a commercial or a television appearance there, if it took place in the Star Wars universe, you played it straight. You played it just like the character. If it was something that took place in our world here on Earth, then you had a little liberty, and you could do some funny stuff. Like I did a very funny commercial for Walmart once, where Vader and Chewie are living in this couple's house. It was for advertising when the original trilogy came out on DVD, and the whole catch was that the couple is saying, owning the original trilogy on DVD is just like having the characters, in your home. And so you see like Chewie, brushing his teeth and stuff like that in the bathroom, and the wife screaming about, there's Wookiee hair in her hairbrush, and things like that. But the commercial ends with the couple sitting on their couch watching TV, watching the trilogy on DVD, and Vader is sitting between them, and the husband is like trying to use the Force to get the remote to come to him. like that, and he's trying to use the remote. And so Vader just kind of goes, picks up the remote and hands it to him. Stuff like that. It's fun. So there are basically 3 different portrayals that you would end up doing.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to your first question there about projects that I worked on that were near and dear to me. I mentioned on the visual effects side, Galaxy Quest, that was a lot of fun. Jurassic Park 3 was a lot of fun as well. One thing that to me was just delightful to work on as an animator, I worked on the PBS Kids TV series Between the Lions, which was a great show. It was some of the producers and writers from Sesame Street who got fed up with Sesame Street not really teaching you much of anything anymore. It just taught you how to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, Sesame Street taught you about reading and writing and arithmetic. And
that cool pinball machine.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. And so they felt the same way. So they started this other show called Between the Lions, which if you ever look up an episode of it on YouTube or something like that, it's a great show. It's funny. It's really funny. It's one of those things where the humor, the kids get it, but there's a whole lot of stuff in there directed at the parents, to make them laugh as well. So I was an animator on that for several seasons and also did some voice work for them, and that's something I'm really proud of having worked on as well. So I just wanted to get that in there.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Hey, Andrew. So speaking of voice work, I was looking up your IMDb. You're credited as the only actor to have officially portrayed 2 very important characters. Who are they? Tell us about that.
I, of course, played Darth Vader on camera, and I provided Luke Skywalker's voice for several LucasArts games, which I guess makes me either my own father or my own son.
Oh, we're not that kind of show. So
I know it sounds like an episode of the Jerry Springer Show, doesn't it? Maybe I need to. I need to go on the Maury Povich Show and see if I'm related to myself. Get that paternity test. You are the baby daddy.
You are the baby.
No,
There was that.
Father.
There was that song, I'm my own grandpa or something.
Yeah, it's very much like that. It's probably the midi-chlorian thing, it's kicking in.
Hey, so jumping a little bit around, I've talked to you in length about this, and I just want you to retell this a little bit to our viewers. You've talked about having to do certain scenes over and over again. I always find it odd that you tell me, I'm in the 501st, I do Vader. I have a fan in my helmet. I've got stuff that catches sweat up here.
Right.
Tell everybody who's listening and the rest of the guys here what the actual Vader suit is like.
It's blistering hot. There are no fans. There is very little ventilation. There's nothing. It's just a steam bath inside there. You can probably wear it with the mask on for at the most. I think the longest I went without taking the head off was about 40 minutes. And that was it, and I was just drenched, and it was so bad that I was completely fogged over. The lenses, this was a live appearance that I was doing, and the lenses of the mask were just utterly fogged over, and I'm just thinking, I hope the blur that I'm following is actually my handler. I'm walking through a big crowd of people at this big gala event at USC, and I'm thinking, gosh, I hope that's my handler.
Thank God you weren't following an elderly woman back to her car or something.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Give her a heart attack when she turns around.
I've had that too, where people just lose it when they they don't know that I'm behind them, and it's like they just lose it.
Yeah, like on the floor.
Yes.
So what's the longest time that you've spent in the costume, like either working on a film or a commercial or a shoot or something?
I spent 21 hours straight in the costume. We were shooting a commercial for M&M's. It was from 2005. It was for dark chocolate M&Ms. So Vader's turning the M&Ms to the dark side.
Yeah.
The commercial is called Red's Decision. I think you can find it on YouTube. Just look up Red's Decision. And it's a great commercial because we had David Tattersall, the director of photography from the prequels, shooting it for us. So it looks just like the movies. It's brilliant. And he's a great guy, just really a fantastic cinematographer. But I was also shooting a print ad for M&M's at the same time. And we were in Argentina because we had to rebuild an entire set from Episode 3. We had to rebuild the Mustafar set. And the dollar goes 3 times as far down in Argentina. So we took our budget of like $250,000 or $300,000 and made it look like $1 million. So I was in the costume from very early in the morning until into the wee hours of the night there. Now, I got to take the mask off, I got to take the helmet off, and the cape and the shoulder armor, but I had pretty much everything else on the entire day. And I think I lost 5 pounds just sweating.
God, man.
And without getting too gross, I didn't have to go to the bathroom that day. I didn't have no bathroom breaks. It was, I just sweated it out.
Sweat it out.
That's like living in a sleeping bag all day.
Yeah.
It is. It's very much. I now I know what the astronauts feel like.
God, man. I can't imagine. I was telling these guys before the show, like I've done events, 3 or 4 hours, and after that, I feel like I have to take the day off, and I feel like I got hit by something. I can't imagine what 21 hours in the suit felt like.
You wuss. No, but I started acting when I was 10 years old, so I have always had it, drummed into my head. This is why I love that scene in Galaxy Quest when Tim Allen's character says to, oh gosh, what's his name? The one who played the alien character on the show. I'm blanking out on him. Wonderful actor. When he's ready at the beginning of the film, when he's ready to quit and not go on at the convention, and he just basically says to him, yeah, when he says to him, the show must go on. He goes,
yeah.
Damn you. But that's what I had. I love that scene because that's what I had pounded into me as a kid. Was I just knew the show must go on no matter what you do. When I was 10 years old, I did a play where I had the flu in the middle of the production, and I had like a fever of like 103. But I said to everybody, "No, I'm going on.
Show must go on."
Because you can't do the show without my character there, so I have to go on.
Yeah.
And so I just had that in me. So I just know there's going to be discomfort. There's going to be long hours. If you want to get into the acting business, don't do it because you think it's cushy. It's not. And the Vader costume is, as Will probably know, it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you make your own, you can make some adjustments, but it's not comfortable. It's uncomfortable to say the least. And I have physical scars from actually wearing it. I'm not going to show them to you now. But,
thank you for that.
Let's just say the word chafing and leave it at that.
Yeah.
But it's what you got to do.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So.
Andrew, you started acting at a young age. What was your first role as an actor?
My first role was in the play Oliver, the musical based on Oliver Twist, and I was just one of the orphan kids in that, and then later I was one of the pickpockets. And then right after that, I did the play I just mentioned where I had the flu, which was Enemy of the People, Henrik Ibsen's drama, sort of socio-political drama, and I played, I was a 10-year-old kid, and I played a 10-year-old kid. So,
excellent.
Yes. But it's funny because I got into that play because my mother was it was a college production. My mother had gone back to college and was studying theater, and so they needed someone to play her son. And they made me audition for that part.
They make you stand next to her.
I should be insulted. Yeah, I should be insulted.
Not be theater people.
Yes. But no, I love theater. I love live theater. There's something just incredible about that, where it's just the immediacy of it and the fact that you can't do retakes. You can't. You never know what's going to happen. The only thing more nerve-wracking and exhilarating is doing stand-up, and which I've done too, and that's that's a killer. If you want to find out what you're made of, go do stand-up. Because it's not just people sitting there going, well, go ahead, make me laugh. It's people saying, you just try and make me laugh.
Yeah.
And so,
challenge you.
But the trick for it is you just got to be yourself, or just a stylized version of yourself. You can't go out there and just be, something that's not authentic, because it just won't ring true.
Yeah, for sure. So Andrew, I got a big question for you. What's it like, George Lucas?
George, it's funny. People ask me that a lot. They say, what's George like?
Yeah.
Or they'll ask me, what's George really like? Because they think, there must be some other, he's that, what you see on TV is not him. No, that's him. George is a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's a really, really, really rich regular guy, but he's a regular guy. Because it's interesting. There's a reason why he lives in Marin County and not down in Los Angeles, because, he can wander around town up in Marin County and nobody bothers him. It's like, hey, George, which is, it allows him to just be himself. But I've been with George when he's in Los Angeles at some big event or something, and forget about it. People are eating each other trying to get to him.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy. He's a nice guy. I think the one thing that doesn't come across about George, and I mentioned this once when I was doing a lecture at Modesto Junior College, George's hometown, Modesto Junior College, and they had a thing for the 30th anniversary of Star Wars. And I was invited to do a lecture, and I was doing a lecture on how Star Wars and Lucasfilm changed the way that movies are made. And it really did. But one of the things I mentioned was that George has a really good sense of humor, which I don't think always comes across in all of his interviews. He's got a really good sense of humor. And after I did the lecture, his sister Wendy, who still lives in Modesto, came up and introduced herself, and she said, you described my brother to a T. And I said to her, I think that's the one thing that people don't see is just how funny your brother is. Yeah. And he really is. He would crack jokes in the middle of dailies while we're sitting watching stuff on Episode 1 and Episode 2 of Star Wars when I was working on those. He'd make little jokes about things, but also at the same time, he's brilliant. You can argue back and forth about, plot points, or you didn't like something he wrote in the script here, or some of the storylines, or anything like that. But when it comes down to the visuals, the man knows his stuff. Little things like, I remember when we were working on Phantom Menace, there's a shot where Jar Jar walks up out of the swamp, walks behind some bushes, and then joins Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon over in this other up on the shore there. And it was a shot where obviously Jar Jar's not there because he's a computer-generated character, but the camera was panning live on the location there, and it's panning, from left to right across the screen. And as it gets about the middle of the shot, right where the bank of the water is, the camera just kind of hesitates. For whatever happened, it wasn't a smooth pan. And the animators were trying to animate Jar Jar and trying to get him to his mark, at the right moment. And they just couldn't get the timing down. They couldn't get the timing down. And George looked at it, and just without hardly, even any thought, he says, "Well, you see that little hesitation there? Why don't you just have Jar Jar slip in the mud?" And it's like, wow. Whoa. Yeah, and it's like that one little kind of like half step as he slips in the mud. First of all, it's perfectly in character for Jar Jar to do that. And second, it fixed the timing perfectly so that he arrived right where he needed to be. That's the stuff that amazes me about George. That's when you're working with him like that. That's like you can't get that at film school. Little things like that. It's just great.
Just comes up with it like that, and everybody else is scratching their head for weeks, going, "What are we doing?"
Right. Exactly.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, Andrew, I would love to hear you talk all day, but unfortunately,
let's do
it. We are primarily a comic book podcast, and we have to talk a little about comic books.
That's all right.
Companies send us books, and they ask us to talk about them. So we're going to go into
a
segment real quick, and I'm sure Star Wars will come up again, because it seems to always come up, no matter what we try to do. We're going to go into real quick about what we read and watched this week, and then we'll finish up here. So, Will, we'll start with you. What did you read this week?
I'm a little bit behind on my comics, so I picked up the last issue of the Star Wars. I think it was number 7, I believe. You guys probably talked about it when I was.
What did I tell you? It took all of 10 seconds.
Yeah, I know. Look at that. Enough Star Wars.
The Star Wars.
That brings up a good question. So you were obviously Andrew. You're obviously involved a ton in the Star Wars movie.
All roads lead back to me. Look at this.
Did you ever get a chance to read George Lucas's original draft?
No. No, I never.
Okay, so
well, actually, no, I did. Actually, I take it back. It was published in a book a long time ago. I forget which book it was, what it was called, but there was a book published back in the 70s that had an early draft of the script in there with a lot of Ralph McQuarrie and Joe Johnston's artwork in there. And I want to say it was called The Art of Star Wars. I'm not sure, but I did. That's what I read. But nothing in house. I didn't read anything in house.
Well, if you're ever interested, Dark Horse Comics put out basically took the original draft and made an 8-issue comic out of it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And it is really cool, and I'll let Will go into it a little bit more, but it changes everything. And Vader is a very different character. In fact, he's not even a Jedi in this version.
There's a small Chinese woman now.
That might have been a little better. So, Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about, I believe it's issue 7, so we're almost done.
Issue 7, yeah. Yeah, Andrew, and in this book, it's called The Star Wars. Vader is more of an army general. He's got very much pretty close to the original suit, but he's missing the helmet and obviously the scarred, charred, burned face.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely more of a tactician. He kind of reminds me in a way of not Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, you're way up on your admiral there.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of Admiral Thrawn a little bit.
Ah, yeah.
But he's a little bit darker, obviously. He's a little more intense.
Not quite as blue.
Yeah, not quite as blue. So he's still definitely, the man in charge and a guy you don't want to mess with. And,
Right.
Subsequently we have another Sith character in the background. What is his name, Casey? I can never remember his name.
I can't either. But
He looks like, Casey looks like him.
we have a striking resemblance.
Casey looks like him. We're going to cosplay as him. Right, Casey?
Yep, someday.
But anyways, in this episode, we're kind of continuing to where we last left off, where Anakin and Luke are in the village where the Wookiees are, and so they've now basically recruited the Wookiees to join them in their fight against the Empire, and they're teaching them all how to fly now. And
okay.
yeah. Chewie looks a little bit more. We'll see.
Are they there to celebrate Life Day?
Exactly. We're celebrating Life Day.
They're saving that for the last issue.
Yes.
But at this point, the princess has been captured, so they're getting ready to basically, wage their full-scale assault against, the Empire. And it was kind of a cool take because, instead of, us seeing the Wookiees in like a prequel, we're seeing them kind of in the kind of original setting. And they're definitely a bit more, I guess we could say, a little bit more savage and more animalistic than Chewie was in the original movies. So they're kind of going through this whole thing where they're teaching them how to fly and go suborbital in the ship. So it was kind of a neat scenario that they put Chewie in. And
okay, I thought for a minute you thought like they were flying without a ship.
Yeah, they grew wings. They grew big like Minoc wings and started flying.
Yeah, it doesn't sound terribly different from Kashyyyk in the extended universe. Yeah. I mean, that's part of, like growing up. They have to go down to the lower levels of Kashyyyk and hunt these savage beasts. I mean, they are much
the rite of
savage.
passage.
Yeah, they're very tribal in extended universe.
Actually, it sounds pretty cool. And it's interesting.
It's a really cool book. The artwork is amazing. The story is really great. Obviously, it's really cool to see, kind of an interpretation of what George's original script was. So we get characters, like Han is actually a big green lizard. He's not, the normal smuggler guy that we know. So, so it's cool. You should definitely check it out.
Is he wearing like a leisure suit and everything? Like a lounge lizard kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, he's like, hey.
Hey.
You got a cocktail?
He pulls the Lando line. Hello, what have we here?
Exactly.
He's basically a space pimp.
Yes.
Okay.
Space pimp.
Mac Daddy.
But yeah, that was all I read this week. There wasn't too much that I was really into this week, so I just picked up some issues that I had to catch up on. So
that actually sounds cool, though. I mean, Dark Horse does a great job with all their comics, and their artwork is fantastic. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm sad to see it end because I actually prefer it, but blasphemy. So,
come on,
Natalie, what did you read this week?
I picked up a copy of Executive Assistant Iris.
Ooh.
Okay. You're gonna kill me.
Sexy.
But I have that issue in PDF.
Well, it was actually something that has been lying around the house for a really long time, and I hadn't seen it.
You literally picked it up off the table.
No, I literally picked it up and went, "Oh, I haven't seen this in the house yet," and literally like read it.
Oh, we got to do the podcast quick. What can I read?
So what did you think of it, Natalie? Because now that I know that you're reading it, I'm going to start sending you all the review copies.
Yeah, please do, because I'm really lost. Because I have issue 1 of 5 of Iris, and I'm into it, but I have no clue who the hell Iris is and what it's all about. I know that it's about these executive assistants who are protecting their executives, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
I'm pretty lost
Wow.
Who's
about
that?
who this book is actually about.
Who's that book by?
Writer is David Wohl. Pencils Eduardo Francisco. Inks by Alex Lay.
And what company is it?
It's an Aspen book.
It is an Aspen book. Okay.
Aspen.
The artwork looked Aspen to me.
Yeah. You can always tell Aspen and Cinescope by the artwork.
No, that's cool.
Very lady friendly.
Yeah. Strong female characters.
Awesome, Natalie. I'm really glad that you got into that stuff because I was worried that it was going to be hard for us to find someone who was going to read the Aspen comics, and now I know that I can just send them all to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, you put a really cute girl on the cover, and I can't help but pick it up.
Most of their comics have
this
female.
is not that kind of show. This is not that kind of show.
I said a cute girl.
Yeah.
I know. right over her head. Whoop!
I wasn't listening.
All right, Chad, what did you read this week?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. I read my.
A movie?
You
wanna
were
talk about-
seeing some movie.
I've been so busy, man. I haven't had a chance to read anything. You know that, Casey.
You want to talk about the movie you saw tonight? A little bit?
If you want to get into movies and TV.
Okay, let me talk about the comics, and then we'll go right into movies and TV, and then we'll be done.
All right.
So what I read this week, and I'll go real fast because I read nothing but Rick Remender. I don't know why. It just happened all of his books were coming out this week.
Because you love Rick Remender.
Oh, I love him so much. I have a man crush on him. And I want him to get on the show, and I know I can get him on the show because Ob listens to this. So, Aubrey, if you're listening.
Does Ob actually listen? Did he tell you that?
No, he doesn't, but I send him the link every day, and he says thank you, so I assume he listens.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Thank you. Leave me the fuck
It
alone.
could be an autoresponder.
Yeah.
An autoresponder.
Yeah, it's different every time, so I assume it's not.
We love Ob here.
Please get Rick on the show. I adore him more than a man should. So I read a ton of stuff. So first thing I'm going to talk about is it is a Dark Horse comic, Fear Agent, Volume 2. It was actually a trade, so I sat. You're reading it. Continue reading it. It's amazing.
I'm like halfway
and
through.
yeah, it's really really good. And in pure Rick Remender fashion, full of twists and surprises, and crazy aliens and just crazy action and a badass protagonist who just doesn't give a fuck about anybody or anything. And it's really a lot of fun. It's basically like man, who is that old timey? Not Flash Gordon? Yeah, Flash Gordon. It's like Flash Gordon, but with time travel. That's how I would describe it. So it's really cool, and like I said, with Rick Remender just knows how to write a good story, and it's a lot of fun. Also out this week, and that was a trade. So if you want to pick that up, that came out yesterday in the trade form, I think, or actually it may come out next week. I think it comes out next week in trade.
Okay.
So I really, really highly recommend it. It is volume 2, so there's a first volume. But I feel like, Natalie, you didn't read volume 1, right? So I didn't read volume 1 either, and I knew exactly what was happening. So I don't think it's necessary to read volume 1, but like I said, fantastic book. The art is amazing. It's really good. Also out this week, something I talk about all the time on the show, Black Science, an image book by Rick Remender. I can't say anything about this book without spoiling it, so just trust me with all sincerity and go and read Black Science. Start from the beginning. Andrew, if you're familiar with the show Sliders, with
Mm-hmm.
okay, so Black Science is Sliders on acid. So that's exactly how to describe, with a little like Swiss Family Robinson mixed in.
You sold me. I gotta see it. I gotta read that.
It's really good. It's really suspenseful. I just don't know what's going to happen next, and this issue is a prime example of that. It's really, really great. Also, out this week, and I would be in trouble if I didn't talk about this, was The Amazing Spider-Man #1 by Dan Slott. And that is it's basically, so the past year, and if you listen to the show, you're probably sick of me talking about this. The past year, Spider-Man was taken over and called Superior Spider-Man, and basically what happened was Peter Parker's brain was taken over by Dr. Octopus. So essentially, Dr. Octopus was Peter Parker / Spider-Man for the past year. So in Amazing Spider-Man #1, Peter Parker has recovered his brain and his body, and now he has to deal with all the things that Dr. Octopus did, like he sent out like drones across the entire city to spy on everybody. He killed people. He beat people to near death. He
ran up his credit card.
He did actually. He started like an industry. Yeah, he started an industry and like sunk it into the ground, and now Peter's like bankrupt. He has a engagement pending with a lady of small stature.
What?
So yeah, he's dating a midget.
Little person. The term is little person.
Sorry.
Little person.
I never know. He's dating a little person. So yeah, there's a lot of things that Peter has to kind of deal with now, and it's basically what Dan Slott did is he started Spider-Man literally over. So now it's just like Spider-Man is back to where he was when Stan Lee was writing him. He's a menace to New York. He's not in the Avengers anymore. He's down to nothing. He has no idea what he's doing. He's completely lost. Half of his memories are gone. so he has to overcome a lot of this stuff, and now it's all coming to light, and it's a fantastic issue. I know I said this last time that I was done with Spider-Man, but now I don't know if I can give it up. It's becoming a heroin addiction at this point.
You've been saying for like
I
months
can't quit
that
you.
we're done.
I know. I can't.
You're
And
such a hypocrite.
I got called out on Twitter about it, and I just couldn't.
I
couldn't
need
quit.
my fix. I need it.
This was not a statement you made one time. This
No,
is
no,
a
I
statement
know.
you made like 100 times.
I tell my wife too, and she's like, "Yeah, right, buddy."
We need an intervention for you or something. You know?
I do need an
to
intervention.
start a 12-step program.
Yes.
But luckily, the writer of Spider-Man, Dan Slott, is putting out another book that I love to death, and that's Silver Surfer.
Okay.
And Mike Allred is the artist. And if you're familiar with Mike Allred, he does like old school like pop art. So it's a perfect fit for Silver Surfer. And Dan Slott's a perfect writer for Silver Surfer. And in Silver Surfer fashion, it is a completely raw, psychedelic trip through space with crazy concepts and crazy characters and out-of-the-box ideas. And it's a ton of fun. It's beautiful to look at. I just love having a hard copy and just staring at it. The covers are amazing. And I can't say enough good things about it. It's going to be my new heroin addiction. Bye bye Spider-Man. Hello Silver Surfer.
The videos always look like a '70s movie, like Acid Trip.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that's Allred. That's his art style, and that's why he's perfect for that book. And that was the original idea behind Silver Surfer. It was very much a '70s book built around the age of acid and for kind of hippie people. So
the Waka Chewaka music, you know.
It's super trippy. And like I said, every time I read it, I feel like I need to be around lava lamps in a dimly lit room.
What are you, 16?
Somebody going,
wish I was
oh
16.
yeah, we got that silver guy on his surfboard. Oh yeah.
Didn't you wasn't I reading that, work on Silver Surfer?
Yes, I did. I worked on Rise of the Silver Surfer. I was Doug Jones' digital makeup artist.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It wasn't anything exciting. It's not like what I had to do was they had all sorts of tracking markers on him so they could put that sort of CG silver look all over him, all over the to enhance the makeup and the costume that he was wearing. And there were tracking markers all over his face, all over the whole thing. And my job was to go in and make them disappear, paint them out. Not as easy as it sounds, because they're changing every single frame and everything like that. So, and then also there were parts where you could see the makeup pulling away from his eyes, where it wasn't actually stuck perfectly to his eyes, and I had to blend that in so it looked perfect and smooth.
Wow.
And same thing around his mouth, around his lips, and everything. So yeah. Frame by frame.
What happened with that movie? It was such a great idea, and then Galactus turned into a smoke monster, and come on, what happened?
I don't think Andrew wants to talk about it.
Like I said, you never know what's going to happen with these movies. You work on something you think is going to be great, and then it comes out and you go, hey, it could be worse. I knew people that were at ILM when I was there, when I was working on great projects. They were working on stuff like Wild Wild West. Which has some of the best visual effects I think that ILM's ever done. But the story, wow.
Giant spider in the Old West.
Yes.
So I think that's a perfect segue into Chad.
How could that possibly be a perfect segue to anything? Okay.
Well, giant monsters.
Wild West.
Movies.
Giant monsters.
All right, giant monsters.
Well,
Okay.
so Wild Wild West, it had what's his name, Will Smith in it.
Yeah.
Will Smith was an iRobot.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the person I went to see Godzilla with today was an iRobot. So
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Perfect segue.
Degree of separation, bro.
So,
Wow, you get the Segway Award.
So friend of the show, Peter Shinkoda, and I went and saw Godzilla today. When we had him on, he had talked about some of the work he had done on Godzilla, and we can't, I can't talk about much until the 10th, but it's definitely worth your money. I mean, it's a phenomenal movie. You guys could ask a couple of questions, and I'll tell you what I could answer. But they told us we were the first group one of the first groups in the world to have seen the movie today, so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, Yeah, so even people that we know that work at Warner Brothers were like, we haven't even seen clips of this. How are you guys getting to go see it? So,
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, this is something you should be able to answer. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, are you a longtime Godzilla fan?
as a kid, as an adult, I remember it through those kind of kid color glasses, but I do not remember it intricately as an adult. I do remember, of course, the farce. You know what? I actually didn't mind the Matthew Broderick one too much for what it was.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah.
I do like Godzilla. I love the Godzilla comics, especially the ones they've done the last few years, which are a little more what this movie seems to be based off of.
Right.
And those comics were fantastic. So, I have a little bit of Godzilla fanboy in me.
Okay, so I was just wondering. I'm just trying to figure out if you're saying I really like this movie from the basis of I like this movie as a moviegoer. I'm liking this, or I'm liking this because I'm a Godzilla fan and I think it's staying true to what Godzilla was, at its core, or something like that. So
a little
just trying to figure out where you're coming from.
Yeah, a little of both. Normally when I go to these, me and my friends, we tend to try and stay positive. We enjoy going to the stuff, but there's always the vast majority of guys and gals that come out and go, and they want to focus on every teeny tiny thing that was wrong with the movie.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, we really like that movie, and they're like, no, this was terrible, and everything has to be terrible so that someone will read their review. All those same people were in this room together, and all of them were cheering and clapping throughout the entire film.
I will let you in on a little secret here about because years ago I used to review films. I actually got to sit with all the top critics from the San Francisco Bay Area at the big screening room downtown in San Francisco on Market Street, and I was there with them, and I was I think still a teenager at the time. I have been volunteering for a local cable access TV station in Pacifica, California. And we used to get press passes, so the boss would send me, okay, you go. And it's like, then you can review it on our cable station. And it's like, okay. And I used to be intimidated at first, and then I sat there and I thought, okay, I can sit here with all these guys. I'm no better, no worse than them. And I would sit them and I would hear them say, oh, that was a really good movie and everything like that. And then I'd read the reviews, and they would tear it apart because they knew nobody's going to read one more good review for that film. Yeah. But, there's a dissenting view. Oh, I got to read that. So. Yes. So, sorry, my little...
No, and that was my feeling, and I don't even think, in today's crowd, especially Hollywood area, they don't even do that. Hey, I love that film, and then go right smack about it. They just talk.
Right.
They just, it's negative talk throughout. But with this, just the feeling in the theater was electric. It was one of those things to where, and every point, and you could tell it was at the points where they wanted to laugh, or they wanted to cheer, or they wanted a fanboy moment where Godzilla would do this. And there's so many cool things I would love to talk about, but I can't. And people were almost getting up out of their seats and cheering and clapping that it was happening. So they made this great movie that was a service to the Godzilla movies and the Godzilla fans, but was its own masterpiece.
That's all I wanted. That's all I want from it. Yeah. Cool. Sounds
all right.
Cool.
So
thanks.
We're almost set for time, so we're gonna do final thoughts really quick. Chad, I think that's the perfect way to end the podcast. Nothing's gonna get better than that. Thank you for seeing that movie for us, and we're all anxiously anticipating your review.
And I did see Spier-Man. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, we won't be doing a review for that one. Yeah. That'll tell you about how Chad felt about it. All right, so Andrew, the final thought segment is basically you get a free minute to talk about whatever you want. You can plug yourself to death, or you can just tell a fun story, or just
plugs.
Yeah, just yell at the person next door, whatever you want to do. So we'll let Will go first, and so that way you get an idea, and then we'll close up shop here. So Will, what's your final thought?
You're probably going to say I'm going to take yours, but obviously we're a comic book show, so we can't leave this week and not talk about what Saturday is. Saturday is free comic book day. So we hope that you're going to find your local comic shop and go support Free Comic Book Day. Take your kids, take your nieces and nephews, take anybody who's not into comics or needs help reading. We just had somebody on the show, last week, talking about all the positive influences comics now have on children and how it promotes reading and comprehension. So take them out, and you have no excuse because you don't have to pay for them. There's a ton of comic books you can get for free. A lot of them are good towards kids. I'm sure some of your bigger shops are going to have some cool cosplayers. I know myself and Casey will be out at our local shop Heroes. I'll be there as Tony Stark. So just go support Free Comic Book Day and share it with your friends and tell everybody about it.
And they're real comics. They're good comics.
Yes.
It's not like they're just like little 4 or 5 page thing.
Yeah.
And most comic book shops that are doing Free Comic Book Day, they have a writer there, they have an artist there. They'll probably have someone in the industry that. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah,
I can hear
you.
Sorry, but yeah, they usually have someone there that's really cool in the industry that you can meet and either take a picture with or get a small drawing or
a sketch. Sketches are cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Natalie, what's your final thought?
I know we didn't talk about it, but I just want to hit it really fast. The Ben Affleck new Batman costume. To me, you guys, it looks like the new Ben Affleck costume that was
I don't
released.
think that's it.
That's not real.
That's not real.
What were you going to say about it, though?
I think it looks like a UD replica's costume, motorcycle jacket.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah, I don't buy that it's real, but I agree with you, Natalie. I think it looks just like that. And where's the Batman logo?
Yeah.
Right. Well, someone took the UD replica's Batman motorcycle jacket and put Ben Affleck's head on it then.
Yeah, had to be.
Yeah.
All
But anyway,
I'm saying, as long as he has the white eyes, it could look at whatever it wants to look like. If they put in those white eyes, I'll be happy, because we haven't got white eyes for 20 years.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
But as always, you can find me on Twitter at Princess Natkins and on Facebook /official Natalie Atkins.
Yeah.
And you're gonna want
Opposed to the non-official.
And if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, stop listening right now and go find the YouTube version. Trust me.
There's Natalie in a Princess Leia bikini.
I'm gonna start the non-official Natalie Atkins Facebook. I'm just gonna say
Natalie
non-official.
Atkins, it's not me.
It's gonna say non-official. Mine. I'm going to start that one.
Fans of Natalie.
You're not in the bikini, okay?
Oh, I can't promise anything.
That's about as non-official as it gets.
I mean, I know where Chad lives. I can drop it off.
Yeah.
Ooh, please no.
All right, Chad, what's your final thought?
My final thought. Well, I thought that was great what Will had to say about Free Comic Book Day. This comes out. This podcast will come out Sunday after Free Comic Book Day. So get prepared for next year when you listen to this. But no, Free Comic Book Day is great. Sometimes actually some of the comic book shops will have some leftover stuff, so you might be able to call up and get some for your kids as much as you can. Get those in the hands of kids to read. I want to thank Peter for going with me. Peter and I are going to have a discussion, and we're going to have a review for Godzilla, and I'll get some impressions from him and everything. But that'll come out the evening of the 10th. I'll schedule that for 10 o'clock when the embargo ends. And next week, I'm going to start my coverage on SciFest, SCI-Fest.com. You've heard us talk about it a bunch on several of the interviews. If you want to check it out, buy tickets, go. There's so many awesome people. I mean, people that were on Fringe, Supernatural. I mean, Star Wars, or not Star Wars, Star Trek. I mean, all kinds of these actors are doing these real cool stand-up one-act plays and everything in LA. I think it's at the Acme Theater, but you can find everything out on sci-fest.com. But I start my coverage of that next week, and it'll be 2 weeks worth of coverage. So lots of cool stuff coming up, tons of stuff coming up this month, lots of great guests. Stick with us.
All right, Andrew, now it's your turn. What's your final thought, my friend?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on here. This has been a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Andrew, you are welcome back anytime. In fact, I will just give the show over to you, and I can sit at home and have a drink.
Wait. Can you replace Casey? Please?
Let's be honest, Andrew, I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, you see?
Yeah, I know. It's all right, though. I'll do the shameless plug. May 17 and 18, I will be at the Big Wow Comic Fest at the San Jose Convention Center in San Jose, California. So if you're anywhere near the area, please come by and say hi. Also, you can find me at C. Andrew Nelson on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, C_Andrew_Nelson on Twitter, because somebody else had C. Andrew Nelson all one thing, and I can't get it from him. That's okay. And you can also find me on YouTube, C. Andrew Nelson on YouTube. You can also go to candrewnelson.com and find out more about me as well. And if you have, and here comes the really horrible shameless plug. Everybody's got a hobby, because it's what keeps you sane in this business. I tell you that for certain. You got to have some kind of hobby because you will go nuts in the entertainment industry. My hobby is freshwater tropical fish. So if you have any interest in freshwater tropical fish, or you just want to see me being a fool on camera, you can go to my other YouTube channel, which is Aquatasy, 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 and check out the ridiculous videos. We're talking all kinds of things. I got mostly tetras. I do have one cichlid, but it covers a lot of different silly stuff.
Nice take, Natalie.
I have some teaching videos, some humorous videos. Try to make it all entertaining, but check it out, or you can go to aquatasy.com also. So there's my shameless plug.
Yeah,
Really, honestly, thank you guys for letting me be involved there.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Andrew. It was a huge pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
Like I said, I could listen. You talk about your experiences and your acting experiences and your visual effects experiences, and I can seriously, if we even talk about TIE Fighter and X-Wing, and if you worked on those, because if you worked on those, we could just have a whole podcast about TIE Fighter. Because I spent
I did briefly, yes.
hundreds and hundreds of hours as a youth playing TIE Fighter with a joystick on a PC. So
I never saw daylight.
Yeah, no. In fact, I think apparently at some point my parents had to come in and be like, "Dude, this is a little much with the TIE Fighter."
You had to pry it out of your hand.
Yeah,
son, you need to graduate.
Stop playing with your lightsaber and go outside.
So yeah, it was our pleasure, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
we
you.
will definitely
Blessings
have you
to
back.
you all.
Now that I know you're friends with Will.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do my quick little plugs here. So everyone listening, and if you're not listening, shame on you. You need to be going to geekswithwives.com. We're just throwing up content every day. There's comic book reviews. A review went up today for Amazing Spider-Man, like I talked about earlier, and a bunch of Dark Horse comics, including someone help me out here. Valiant's Ray #1 review went up. I can't think of Dark Horse Furious #4 went up. So all your reviews, and to be honest, guys, we're posting reviews before most other sites are. So if you guys are interested in the books that are coming out weeks ahead of time, we will have your reviews pending no embargo. So far, IDW is the only one that's embargoed us. So, so look for more reviews coming soon, very soon. Look for Chad stuff coming soon. He's gonna be just throwing up content on this stuff. You're gonna not be able. There's gonna be so much Geeks with Wives content. You're gonna just have to quit your job and just follow Geeks with Wives all day.
Do it.
So,
go to the website. Do it. It is your destiny.
So that's our show. So once again, thank you so much, Andrew. You guys can find us at GWW Capes Crew on Twitter. Will, get us out of here.
Thank you for joining us again. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Darth Sparrow. And, of course, go to Free Comic Book Day. May the 4th be with you, and we will catch you on the dark side.